If you're a fan of space travel, then you're probably already super familiar with SpaceX, the company founded by Elon Musk to help make space exploration cheaper and easier. They have been everywhere, helping to launch TurkSat, working with NASA, and even exploring commercial flights. Now they are planning on doubling its number of astronaut-carrying spacecraft, and we're going to check out what you need to know, what the plan is, and why. SpaceX already has quite a big advantage over any other companies who are making spacecrafts, and they've been getting partnership deals and contracts all over the place. But in a time when space exploration is once again starting to come to the forefront, they need to make sure they stay ahead. There are a few different companies working on their own crafts, and many of those projects are being kept largely secret, meaning that SpaceX doesn't really know where any challenge to their monopoly could come from. That is probably why they are doubling the size of their astronaut-carrying fleet and also doubling the number of cargo-carrying spacecraft too. This all comes just before another mission partnered with NASA that is set to launch soon. Upcoming missions. The two new astronaut-carrying spacecraft are already set to make their mission debut and take astronauts up in space. The Crew 3 will launch on the 30th of October 2021, barring any unexpected delays that occur. This mission will take a group of astronauts up to the International Space Station and make use of a brand new Crew Dragon capsule. And then in April 2022, another mission, Crew 4, will launch with yet another new Crew Dragon craft. These two new crafts will join Endeavour and Resilience, both of which have successfully carried humans into space, making the total number of aircrafts that can transport astronauts owned by the company 4. Cargo Dragon spacecraft. They're also doubling the amount of cargo carrying crafts that they have, and these might just be even more important to the International Space Station than the astronaut carrying crafts. Just think about it. All of the people on board need their physical needs met. There isn't really a supermarket or green grocer up there when they could quickly pop out to get some fresh veggies. They need to plan and get everything they need from a cargo ship that is carrying goods up to the ISS. Plus, there are a number of scientific supplies they need to be able to do their work up there. Without cargo ships bringing them all these supplies, the International Space Station would cease to function, and the astronauts living up there for long stretches at a time would probably get sick, and they wouldn't be able to function. So while these cargo ships might not seem as super glamorous as their astronaut-carrying counterparts, they are just as important or even more so. To date, the existing cargo crafts have already made around 20 trips to and from the space station, and with 2 more cargo crafts, they'll be able to make many more. Why SpaceX's crafts are special. When all of the new crafts are built and in circuit, then SpaceX will have 8 crafts that are set to do some incredible work with NASA and space tourism too. That might not sound like a lot, but this is what makes these crafts so important and impressive. These crafts are reusable, or at least most parts are. They can go into orbit or into space to deliver the astronauts on board and then come back, make a safe landing, get refitted with the needed gear, and pretty soon they can start all over again. It is actually really impressive. Maybe not when you compare them with planes making dozens of flights, the first spacecrafts that used to have one mission in them, and then they were effectively destroyed and completely unsafe to use again. The fact that they can reuse most parts of the spacecraft has made it way more cost-effective, and obviously lowered its carbon footprint a little bit too. That was the entire point of the company, to make spacecrafts that could be used many times, and to make space flights more affordable. Why? Well, we will see the advantages and possible uses in just a little bit. How many missions will each take? Each of the astronauts carrying crafts are only contracted for about 5 missions each, but that doesn't mean that they won't end up doing a lot more than contracted. At this stage, it seems to be unclear how many trips could safely be made with each craft. Going in and out of our atmosphere and traveling in space does take a toll, and while they are reusable, they aren't indestructible. It sounds like even SpaceX isn't entirely sure how long each craft will last. They might be able to safely exceed the 5-trip limit greatly. We aren't entirely sure. Many of us wouldn't even imagine that astronauts carrying aircrafts could have an impact in our own lives, but it seems like they might in the near future. How? We will get the answer to that very soon. Then we will check out how many spacecraft SpaceX will eventually build and how their Starship project is going to influence things. What are the purposes of these ships? Mostly these ships will be used for the main purposes that they are used for now, to get astronauts to and from the International Space Station and to do it safely, or for the cargo ships to take supplies to the space station. But when Elon Musk founded the company, he had much larger plans. First, to use these crafts to allow ordinary people to travel in space and to use it as a form of travel. Secondly, to allow humans to travel much farther, for example to Mars, to be able to explore much bigger parts of our solar system. But we know that there are still a lot more hurdles to overcome for that to be possible. And then there are those who have said that it could eventually be possible to start start colonizing other places, for example the moon, because we could pretty easily get supplies to those areas. But that still sounds a little far-fetched to me. Then again, so did space travel for ordinary people. Is space tourism even possible? When humans started exploring the possibility of going into space, there was only a select few that were even considered for this mission. Some of the best pilots in the world started to train to become astronauts. But then, and in the years since then, astronauts are put through vigorous training and physical assessments. If you have even the slightest bit of health issues, then you can't go into space. It's that simple. So when they started talking about people going into space, it seemed impossible. No normal person could. And yet, it has already happened in our lifetime. Flight for normal people has started, and one of the Dragon crafts has already taken a group of normal, albeit pretty rich people into orbit around the Earth. Untrained people have been to space. SpaceX Starship Project. The next project that SpaceX is working on is their Starship spacecraft. These ships are set to be better and even faster. Some will be bigger to better enable more people to travel at one time. It could once again change the company completely. They are doubling their crafts right now, but with these ships, they could completely expand it even more. Will SpaceX need even more ships? They probably will. Like I said, there are a few companies that are working hard to catch up, some that even worked with NASA in the past. So things could change if they get into the game too. But for now, it seems like SpaceX has the biggest part of the puzzle. And while NASA is still sending people to the International Space Station, they will need aircrafts to transport these people. And it just makes more financial sense to use the Dragon crafts than to build their own. Plus, if SpaceX wants to expand the flights they give to normal people, they might need crafts that are built just for that, or more crafts to be able to do both. And they are by no means done. They have big plans. How SpaceX could use their people-carrying crafts in the future. They have already shown that they could take normal people in an exploration into space, but they didn't go very far and the trip wasn't very long. Plus, it was really expensive to get a ticket, but the company wants to expand their fleet to allow more people to take this trip. With the Starship, they might be able to make a bigger craft to allow more people to travel at once, meaning that it would become cheaper, and costs will come down if it becomes more mainstream too. Just how think expensive air travel used to be. Now it is a normal way to travel. They have even hinted that they could use this for normal travel too. Getting from cities that would take hours by plane could be as quickly as 40 minutes by spacecraft. SpaceX is expanding their fleet and has super exciting things planned. Would you take a trip on a spacecraft? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.